Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Tree Actions, the Human Forestry Podcast. And joining us on this episode from Middle Earth, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Robin Adair. Welcome to the show, Robin.
Dwayne's old stomping grounds, University of Saskatchewan.
Yep, that's
That's
correct.
where you got started. You always tell that story.
It is actually, yeah, I probably would not be doing this if it wasn't for my experience at the University of Saskatchewan, 100%. And I'd be remiss if not welcoming or acknowledging Tony, my trusty counterpart in Tree Actions.
Here as always.
So I love Saskatoon. You're right, and I mean, I guess I never knew much about it growing up. I grew up way south of it, but when I did get to live there, it's a pretty beautiful city, actually.
Hey, you grew up near Swift or
Yeah,
Swift
south
Current?
south of Swift Current. Yeah,
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 yeah.
in the boonies.
Come to the big city of Saskatoon,
Yeah,
the Paris of the prairies.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And I lived on Cumberland, just down from like a block, not even from the university. Four of us were in the floor of a house, the top floor, and the basement had two rooms rented. One of which was uh, Grant Devine's daughter was living below us, and he was premier at the time.
and and I think her name was Monique.
Yeah, and she was living in the basement. She was first year university
And my
student.
and my son is dating Grant Devine's granddaughter
No,
right now through marriage. So Monique's would be stepdaughter. Yeah, small world.
that is
Saskatchewan.
wild.
Yeah. So my son's talking politics with Grant Devine, and they're mostly talking baseball and fishing and stuff. But yeah, he's a good dude.
Well, he's been out of politics for a while, hasn't he?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was a professor at the U of S, agricultural economics, and he's a cool dude.
Well, yeah, I recently have had a chance to interact with retired MPs myself, and they are interesting to talk to say the least. But without any further ado, let's get on with asking you our one question that we ask all our guests, and that is, if you would share with us, please, the first time you remember having a connection to a tree or to trees.
Yeah, that's a good question to start with because my background starts with golf courses. So my dad was an old hockey player. There was a superintendent of a golf course, Saskatoon Golf and Country Club in Saskatoon, and named Buddy Johns was the superintendent. My dad knew him really well, played hockey, traveled all over Saskatchewan with him into Manitoba. And the Wild Goose Hockey League, it was called back in the 50s.
I remember that.
Yeah. And so my dad dropped me off. Here's a job for you. And I loved it. I loved cutting grass, cutting fairways, being on the golf course. But when I was done that, I always wanted to go pruning. I always had to lean towards pruning, because I could tell it was making a difference. It was usually at golf courses all raising up the trees and cutting back the width, but I was always kind of asking, okay, can I go prune the trees? Like I really enjoyed doing that. Chainsaw work, and of course no training and everything back there. And I remember them lifting us up. Our first rule of thumb I ever learned in pruning, it was like April or May, and they were doing the old, let's lift a robin up in a tractor bucket up beside the lilac hedge, and then taking the hedge trimmer across. And the old member came up and said, oh, no, don't cut the lilacs now. You're cutting all the flowers off. I was like, I don't know. I'm just grade 11 kid, right?
Right. So they had you pruning them before they bloomed.
Yeah, exactly. Prune them before he bloomed. So we're actually still full circle. We're now back working for Saskatoon Golf and Country Club. Like every other golf course on the prairies, just poplars dying just from the drought.
Yeah.
Right. So we're just taking out, I think we took out 60 big ones last winter. We're taking on another 50 or 40 this coming winter. Just with all the drought out here, it's just craziness. But
Right.
anyway, that's my first interaction with trees. Not even really as a kid growing up. Apparently, my dad died when I was 19. But I have other friends that tell me stories that he would take people out and he would know each tree in his yard.
Huh.
And he was an educational psychologist. He was a teacher. He wasn't a. He was a farmer.
Yeah.
Like we had a farm near Harris by Rosetown, Saskatchewan.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's where I learned to drive three in the tree and farming and just working with machinery and
Yeah.
safety around machinery and stuff. But apparently, my dad would just take people out in the yard, and he would be proud of the fact that he could name all the trees in his yard.
Yeah.
And he was a teacher. He wasn't anything to do with horticulture. He was a good gardener. Again, he was a farmer. But yeah,
Well, I think that people on the prairies, Robin, always they have a tighter like because when you're from somewhere where trees really aren't from, which not that Saskatchewan doesn't have a lot of trees, but certainly the area we're talking about is central southern Saskatchewan, I guess, central south. Um, it's pretty well, it looks flat, certainly when you drive through, but there's lots of beautiful valleys and bluffs do well, but generally it's not really a forested area.
I learned a lesson. We went out to Cape Breton a couple times in the last 4 years. We have some friends that have a condo at Bedeck, and I learned a lesson: the fact that they have to keep things mowed, or else they get a forest. Versus here, these people are from I coached hockey with them. They're around Saskatoon. They're trying to build a forest,
Yeah.
right, in Saskatchewan, but out there, it's a battle to not get a forest,
Yeah.
right? So I kind of learned a tree lesson in that trip, and it was really great getting out there and seeing all the fall color and the oaks and
Yeah. Beautiful.
maples. Yeah,
And when you're trying to grow a forest, I think it lends people's, they just well, first of all, they grow slower, they're harder to grow, they're and you know what they are, because you actually planted them. When you plant something, you tend to remember it a little bit more too, right? Maybe that's why your
yeah.
dad.
That would be Pennsylvania, I suppose, for Tony. That'd be the same kind of thing. I don't know.
Yeah, we got a lot of trees. It is different. Like when you get in parts of the world where trees are not, I don't know, like they're not as prevalent as the places where they are. You kind of take it for granted if you live in a place like here where I can put a stick in the yard and it'll
Yeah,
probably grow. If I put two sticks in the yard, I'll get four within four
yeah,
years.
yeah.
And
One of my employees was talking because I was talking about Ed Gelman's book the other day and how it's a little bit Florida centric. They get like 4 or 5 feet of growth, and like, how does that happen? How do you get? They couldn't comprehend.
yeah,
Yeah, we're happy to get a foot and a half.
yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah, and
and
and the shortness of the seasons, and the your minimal range of species too, right? Like
yeah,
there's five main species, or
yeah,
maybe 10, right? Like that's it. Like,
yeah.
and yeah,
We're
because
bringing.
Saskatoon is pretty. I mean, nice thing about Saskatoon is it has the river valley, right? That's one thing. If I compare it to the capital city, Regina, which is the next biggest city. Well, I guess Saskatoon's probably bigger than Regina, wouldn't it be?
That's bigger. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think it's like 350,000 compared to 250.
yeah,
I I don't know
in that
exactly, but
range. But
yeah,
it has the river valley, so you do have some natural. Wherever you got natural water, you have some trees, right? They seem to go hand in hand,
yeah,
and so whereas Regina was literally they didn't even have a river. That city
yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
even have like they made a man-made lake in it so they'd have water in the city there,
Yeah, they got Wascana
yeah,
Lake.
which was man-made.
Yeah, yeah, but we have the river coming through, which is great. But what's growing along the river is chokecherry. What's growing in the chokecherry is black knot.
Yeah,
So we get black when we get a wet year, the black knot just goes crazy.
right.
But we haven't had a wet year for 4 or 5.
And there's some aspens and balsams as well,
Yeah,
a little bit, but
yeah.
yeah, yeah, they definitely got a black knot farm.
Like when for us to see a native group of oak, I always see when I'm going to Winnipeg.
Yeah,
You cross the border right around Verdun,
yeah.
and you start to see those oak forests. We don't get that out here.
No,
Maybe Capella Valley has it, but I don't think so.
no, no, I don't think they go that far west
So,
or east, depending which way you look at it. West, I guess.
so lots of Manitoba maple, lots of Siberian elm,
Yeah.
the old PFRA trees, right? So, yeah, like you said, there's not much variety.
So the PFRA, maybe just for some of our listeners, that's the
Prairie Forest Rehabilitation Association. It was federally funded up until 10 years ago. They shut down the farms. They were, I don't know how long it ran, probably 50, 60 years. And they would provide seedlings to all the farmers
Yeah.
and acreage owners around Saskatchewan and free of charge. And a lot of those poplars and elm and maple came out of there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what we see. That's what we see everywhere here.
And everything came out of it. Basically, was bare root in bundles.
Yeah.
So you just literally kind of stuck them in the ground, Tony, like you were saying. But like if you're in this region, which is quite vast, you go basically the whole southern half of Saskatchewan. If there's where flat prairie land exists and there's a bluff of trees, it was planted. Like it was there, put there by somebody. They just don't grow, right? So,
But what the average person that hasn't really spent much time in Saskatchewan is, you go an hour north of us and it's all boreal,
yeah, yeah,
right? Boreal forest up in Emma Lake, Waskesiu,
yeah,
130-foot tall spruce.
yeah,
But they drive down the Trans-Canada, most people, and they think that that's what Saskatchewan is.
yeah,
The Gull Lake, Swift Current, Moose Jaw, like,
yeah.
no, no, no.
I
Got
know.
to get to northern Saskatchewan.
And even, where I grew up, I would drive on my motorcycle maybe 30 miles, not even 10 miles, to this massive valley. It was a canyon, really, and the eagles would nest on the banks of it. It was so steep, and it was very inaccessible, and it was forested with aspen and willows and
Was
quite
that,
steep. And those little bluffs, those
Cypress?
little valleys exist all throughout.
Was that Cypress Hills?
No, this was around Pontex,
Oh,
down by. I don't even know it has a name. It was just the land feature that they're all peppered throughout it. You have these little pockets of, but I like amazing beauty, really.
yeah,
And a lot of times that's also where settle like homes would be. People would put their house down on the bottom there because it's nice, right? And
yeah.
I would imagine a lot of the First Nations would camp in these locations also. But you don't see them. That's the thing. They're hidden, right? They're like these hidden little gems and they could often be on private land where just nobody really knows about them, and they're quite beautiful.
Yeah.
But they're
Or
very,
Cypress Hills. I've never been to Cypress Hills, but apparently it's just beautiful
oh,
because you don't
amazing.
see it. Again, like, it's a river valley. It's a valley.
Yeah,
So you drop in there, it's all native. They have a lot of pines, Scots pines in there, and
it's amazing. It's beautiful.
lodgepole.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's an interprovincial park, so it goes into borders through Saskatchewan and Alberta. But it's amazing.
So I was actually a cabin kid, so I would go, and that's my happy place. I would go north. I was actually born in Meadow Lake.
Okay.
I was, yeah. My parents were up at the cottage in August. I was born in August. My parents were both teachers. Greg Lake, Meadow Lake Provincial Park. So to me, that's my happy place. That's me as a kid, free range, no cell phones, no anything, just wandering the fishing in the docks and wandering through the trees and scared crapless when a fighter jet comes over from Cold Lake Air Force Base. Scare the living crap out of you.
So
And
why was that? Why do you feel you had that affinity? What was it about that you call it your happy place? Like even now, is it still that way for you?
yeah, like we're taking my son's fishing in a couple weeks up north. Just that's where if I retired right now, I'd just go north. I'd just go fishing in the bush, and I could fish for weeks
Yeah,
and just be the happiest ever. I'd just be away from everything, and that maybe goes back to my youth and just being out with my dad and parents and family and just fishing. And
yeah.
I love it. I
Well, and
don't
and,
care if I catch anything. I just like being out there, like.
and northern Saskatchewan does have some of the best, absolute best fishing in the world. Like there's some like I did a fish trip to Tazen Lake last summer, which is about as far north as you can get, and unbelievable.
Like, you see, like, my uncle has a outfitter camp out by, it's called Lac des Isles. It's just east of Cold Lake, Alberta. And they go bear hunting, and they're bringing American hunters come up bear hunting, and then they get their tag right away. And then what are you going to do? We're going to go fishing. So he knows all the walleye spots. They pull out 7, 8 pound walleye, and they're having a great time. They're
Yeah,
just
Yeah.
It's a great, yeah.
Yeah, there's, I don't know what do you think it is? Like, I find that's fascinating with sportsmen or sports people in particular, like, and fishing, and fishing somehow it seems to fly in the no man's zone of, you get a lot of anti-hunters because of, it's killing an animal. You don't get it as much in fishing, do you? It seems like not as many people protest the fish. Well,
Yeah,
I should say commercial fishing and so on.
I
Yeah.
said bear hunting. Like bear hunting shut down here for about 4 or 5 years because COVID, right? So then the bear population went out of control. I don't know. I want to say out of control, but it got higher. So they really monitor the population, I guess. But
Oh yeah.
I never bear hunted. But yeah, it's just it's a big um, draw to the northern Saskatchewan, right? There's a lot of people that outfitters that have their whole life is based around
Yeah.
going up north, hunting and fishing.
Yeah.
And that's a big part of it for Saskatchewan, right? All those lakes up north.
And I find it interesting that when you said head, like if you were to retire right now, you head to the bush. That term, is definitely a Saskatchewan term. And I'm born and raised Saskatchewan myself. So here we have our listeners better get ready because you got two Saskabushers here about to already talking away, which can turn into its own thing. But anyways, what do you when you say the bush? What does that mean?
Well, we're kind of blessed to have two cabins. It's pretty rare that people have two cabins to go to. So my family had a cabin for 30 years before Meadow Lake Park, or pardon me, after Meadow Lake Park, we built a cabin at a lake called Turtle Lake, which is just north of North Balford. It's about 2.5 hours from Saskatoon.
Yeah.
So that's my family side there. And then my wife's side and I, we built a cabin at a lake called Big Shell. And that's just about an hour and a half, a little closer than Turtle. And Big Shell is it's a winterized cabin. It's a nice cabin. They're both nice cabins. But it's just, yeah, like being able. That's my weekends. If I ever get a chance, that's my weekends. We go to the lake. That's my week off. We always take a week off. We shut down the crew in the middle of summer. Well, in August, we always take the first week of August off. So we get a good 10 days up at the lake, and that's usually around my birthday too, right in August. And yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's just being out in nature, being out and around the water, and being around the campfire. Although you can't have campfires these days because it's so dry. So I've got a stack of wood, a pile. I got a pile of wood, a mile high, ready to go.
Right. Yeah. Because it's been so. Yeah. And fire bans are fun. Yeah.
Yeah. At this time, we have the biggest fire in the world right now at north of Canada Lake.
Oh,
This
really?
215 hectare fire. Like it's huge. It's just so dry. It's ridiculous.
Is that the one that's also was threatening in Manitoba?
No, that's up by Flin Flon, Creighton. That they're evacuating Flin Flon right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, they evacuated everybody from Flin Flon. So yeah, it's just all over the place right now. Alberta's got a couple, I think.
Yeah.
Bad ones, yeah.
So, you your journey into the tree world. How did it exactly happen then? Being like if I recall, you
I
did.
was a turkey,
Yeah. That's
right? So when I went to Olds, so that was 1994. I started at Olds
yeah.
in turf grass, and the good thing about turf grass at the time, it's a 2 year diploma. So we were immersed with everything from tree ID to entomology to the soils, and as you know, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
And then second year, look who shows up with Dwayne Newstetter just starting the arboriculture class, right? So that's when we all, wow, this is cool. Getting us into the tree class. It wasn't just a pruning class; it became a like climbing class.
Yeah.
You started it off there, really, like where it used to be just a pruning class for golf course guys.
Yeah.
Evolved into you're starting your teaching at Olds. So
Yeah.
that's right when I was there, 95, 96.
Yeah. It was even before. Like, don't think the diploma started yet. It was just because because they used to have just a 35-hour class called arboriculture, and you could sign up for it as an option and learn everything you needed to know about arboriculture in 35 hours. And depending on who was teaching it, they would focus on their forte, right? And I brought climbing into it when I started teaching it because I was young and doing a lot of that. So, and you had a lot of latitude in that class. But then when it became a diploma, then it was an actual option. There were a lot more training around it. But I think you took the arboriculture, the class
Just
called
a
art.
class, like
Yeah,
just a class,
yeah,
yeah. Like just finishing off my turf grass
yeah,
degree
yeah,
or
yeah.
diploma, and then you, I think probably right after that would have started the 2 year
Yeah, it was
diploma.
'96, I think, when the 2 years started. That was when
There
we
you go.
wrote it, or it started somewhere in there. But I
Yeah,
remember the group because I would always tease Dennis because he was the lead for the turfies, and that year there was more turfies than ever that kind of like were and from that group in particular, Robin, I found it fascinating because there was yourself, what Travis,
Gavin,
Gavin, there was somebody else. What was his name? There was at least four or five. Well, Sam did
Kevin
one.
Osmond.
Kevin, yeah, like
Although he wasn't a turfie, I think he was just a landscape
right.
major. But Kevin Osmond, yeah,
But there's a good probably five of you from that group that all stayed in arboriculture after that
yeah.
as a
So
career.
from there, from Olds, so I got you whispered to me, hey, there's a guy named Rob Romerall at the arborist looking for helpers, right? So I took a job first year out of Olds with the city of Calgary, and the good thing about city of Calgary, it's only 4 day weeks. So I had that Friday, Saturday to try different things, right? So I just went to work for Rob Friday, Saturdays, and that's where I kind of got the bug, the climbing bug. So it worked out really well actually, because then eventually I just got into climb more and more climbing, and then started doing stuff on my own. I was still working 4 day a week, and then eventually I just got rid of the city job and I just went off on my own and started Adair Tree Care, which still operates to this day. Matt Davis still, like we sold it in '07 to Matt Davis, and he's still running it now in Calgary.
Yeah, with your name.
Yeah, yeah. I should have kept the rights to the name, but Matt said he'd always change the name, but he hasn't changed the name yet. I guess it
and
has
then
too much of a rhyme. Has a rhyme to it, I guess. Adair Tree
you
Care.
started another one and didn't use your name that time.
No. So that's '07. We decided we're moving out of Calgary. We just had both our kids in Calgary. Kale was 4 at the time, and Carson was about 7 months. And so we just, we got to get back to the cottages. Like we strap these kids in a carrier in the back seat, and we drive for 8 hours to get to the cabin. Like screw this. Like
Right.
we looked for cottages around Alberta, and it just wasn't working. And everything just kind of pointed to coming home.
Yeah.
We did our Calgary time. My wife was working. It just worked out well that she came from U of S out to Calgary, and yeah, we spent our time there and met a lot of good people there. Met a lot of good arborists in the industry, which I still talk to today
Yeah.
in Calgary, and then brought all that back to Saskatoon.
Yeah.
So in '08 is when we started Arborcrest here. So just myself and one laborer, and I bought Dave Loris's old 1994 Ford F650.
Oh, did you? Yeah.
It probably cost me about $60 of gas to drive it across town. And yeah, and then we just kind of took off from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and it's interesting because there's like, there's a bit of a revolving door that goes through tree companies, I guess you could say. But, um, I know a few people that either did work for you or started working for you, but all of them have a positive, like they didn't leave the industry or some did, but there's a positivity to their experience. Is that something that you try to do or you just inherently do you think, Robin, or is it just
I just
happen or?
like just being nice to people and keeping them around, and just getting them to like enjoy the industry. Is that kind of what you're getting at? Like,
Well, yeah, I
yeah,
mean, not everyone has that experience, right? So obviously,
right,
not all employers are created equal, I suppose you could say. And
yeah,
what do you attribute that to? I mean, other than being nice.
just being fair to people, being flexible, course, as things go on, I've had to be more and more flexible with the generation that's coming through now. That like we just instituted a 4-day week, 4 10s, right? We're just trying different things like that, like just benefits, equipment bonuses, things like that that I've always sort of done. To keep people around, keep them interested in the profession, and yeah, there's going to be people that come there because they love it and that's their career and they love doing it. But and there's also going to be people that are just students and transitionary. They kind of come and go, right? So um,
So when you say the generation, and we hear that, like what is in like, you've been around long enough to see change, I suppose. How what's different or what's changed that you've had to make?
I'll give you an example specifically. I used to be able to, like, say 10 to 15 years ago, I'd always say just come in on Saturday mornings and we'll do some maintenance on the saws and the trucks and the chippers. And so Monday morning we're ready to head out the door. You're going to get overtime. You worked a 40-hour week. You're going to get paid overtime to come in Saturday. But now I can't get anybody to come in Saturday. So that's a kind of direct example. Like somebody's going to come in, they're going to get overtime. They're only going to work for the morning, be done by noon. You got the rest of the weekend, right? Like that's how maybe how I did it with Romerl.
Yeah.
I remember I was supposed to. Well, I think I was thinking about Arbor Care because I did work for Arbor Care long enough to get a hat. Because my son's working out here and he's wearing an Arbor Care hat that I would have got 25 years ago. But I know they stood me up once. I was supposed to work with Frank Chips one Saturday morning at Arbor Care, and I just got to the site, Frank Fisher's old house there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and nobody showed up. And I was like, well, screw this. Like these guys ghosted me, right? But I do remember climbing with Chris Patterson in and around Calgary, working for Arbor Care. So I did work for Arbor Care at some point in time.
Right.
But that's when I would people would want to work. Like they would want to come in, but now I can't get it. So now what I've done is I've gone a Tuesday to Saturday shift. So people can work a Tuesday to Saturday. So they get Mondays off. They can do their banking. They can see their doctor. They can see their dentist on a Monday, and they don't have to fight the crowds or whatever. But then come in on a Tuesday to Saturday, and they love it. Like not all of them love it, but people sign up for it. I pay a premium for it, so I'll pay them a shift premium to come in Tuesday to Saturday. So we're trying all sorts of stuff that I've over 30 years of doing this.
Yeah.
Just different tricks. Like I really like that 4-day week, City of Calgary. Like that's
Yeah.
But really to implement it is tough because then you're shortchanging yourself later in the week. Like if something big happens on a Thursday and 3 of your main employees are gone on Friday, it's going to be tough to get stuff done.
Yeah. Well, a lot of times what they would do is if you had enough people, you split them, right? So half are there. Like you don't lose, you're never completely destitute on any given day.
Yeah.
But what do you think that is? Like why would people come in on a Saturday back in the day and now they just don't even show up? What's changed, do you think?
Well, I think it's just lifestyle. People just want to be away from work. I fully appreciate that. Like you got to have some downtime. Maybe it's just the people I worked with. Like they just always wanted to, be active. Like Lloyd Rumbold. Lloyd would work an 80-hour week back in the day if he could, right? So he'd always be that guy on Saturdays that would be around to working with me. So we worked together a lot of Saturdays at the Arborist in Calgary.
Right.
Right. Because he knew if he's getting overtime on a Saturday, he'd be coming in. And maybe it's just the people I work with, right? I don't know. But it's just a different philosophy now, it seems like just people want to have that weekend off. Even my hockey player son said to me the other day, Saturdays, Sundays, what? I don't work on those days. Like, I said, come on.
Tony, your brother, you work with your brother's business. Is that a trend you guys have observed also?
Yeah, I mean, I always hated working Saturdays. Just always did. But I would. Yeah, we found it. Yeah, we've had to make the same kind of changes that Robin's had to make. I think that um like I got my work ethic from my father, and my father's work ethic was because that's how he just dealt with pressure. He just worked harder. I think that um the younger folks I work with now, I think they appreciate their time off more. In fact, we've found, and Robin might have a similar experience, that oftentimes they would probably rather have more time off than more
Yeah.
money in their paycheck. And everyone's different, but I would say on a whole, they appreciate time off more than they appreciate just a straight up pay raise within reason. So yeah, it's you've really had to kind of change how we've addressed those issues a little bit, but it's been kind of the interesting part of it's been a learning and growing experience, on a management standpoint, trying to figure out
We
what.
lost you, Tony, there somehow.
Well,
Oh no, I'm still sorry. I had to adjust my volume. I bumped a switch here and it was too loud. So yeah, it's been interesting, making those adjustments, and it's if I notice anything, what I notice is it's not it used to be a more one solution fit many more people. Now it's a much more one-off,
yeah,
case-on-case
exactly.
basis. You really, really have to go person by person to figure out what they value, what makes them. Because I have some guys that they'll work every Saturday, they'll work Sunday, they're fine with it. They'd rather just have a bigger check. And I have other people that are like, no, I'd rather have 4 10s. I have some guys that'd rather have 4 4s. But they want the problem is they want the same paycheck, but can't
Yeah.
have that.
Huh, interesting.
And I'm not forcing people to come in Saturdays. Like
Yeah.
it's like I say one day a month, like one morning a month, come in. Like we're down to that. Like, so the Monday to Friday crew, and even if they miss, sometimes they'll miss a Tuesday if they're sick or if it's raining, which it never does out here anymore. But and then they still won't even come in on a Saturday. Like, I don't know. I was wired different. Maybe like Tony said, like that's the way my dad was too. Like he's just always busy, always working. He enjoyed his time off. He enjoyed his relaxation time. But yeah, when we were on the farm, like it's long days. It's 12, 14-hour days when you're out there, right? So maybe I just got used to that. And maybe the new generation now aren't used to that. My son's working 12-hour days. He's working in the oil patch, and he loves it. He loves 7 and 7, 7 days on, 7 days off. Like but it just wouldn't work for tree care. That's 7 days on, 7 days off. Like it's.
Well, no, and the rig isn't abandoned. It's not like there's a crew out there, right? They don't shut down for 7 days, right? They just change workers.
Yeah.
You mentioned golf courses and your dad, and then your dad played hockey too. And I know that hockey's been a big part of your family. And I remember like on my last foray in hockey was in Olds, and we had the intramural team, but you must have played on it.
Yeah. Well, luckily we had Brent Shepard.
Yes.
He played WHL and his dad played NHL. So that year we pretty much rolled through everybody in intramurals. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Jason Jorgensen there, Travis.
Yeah.
And Darren Wheeler from Flin Flon. He had played junior. So it was a really good team. So just so much fun. Like
And we actually played hockey together then.
Yeah.
I was like Arnold Ziffel on ice.
So we'd win this cup, and we brought the cup back to somebody's house, and we're drinking out of the cup, and it was so much fun.
Yeah. I remember that. But it's gone on to be a big thing with your family.
Yeah.
And isn't one of your sons WHL now, or?
Yeah, plays for he had his first full season with Lethbridge Hurricanes.
Yeah.
So he was a defenseman there. And he's 6'3". He didn't get the 6'3" from me, although it's in my family. My brother's 6'3", so it's in my family, sort of. Right. But that helps to be a defenseman to be big.
Yeah.
And he's a good kid. He's smart. He's very defensive minded. So he's going to have a good career in hockey. And now the things have really changed in hockey. And I don't know if Tony follows this too, but the NCAA has opened up now to CHL players. So where if my son wouldn't have made the NHL or not going to make the NHL, he would have come back to U of S and got his school paid for, and he would have been home. But now what the trend is now that these kids are going to go down to NCAA and get a scholarship and get paid to play. It's just totally changing the game of hockey.
Wow.
In Canada. So now anybody that you used to have to go, if you wanted to go to college, you had to go through the Saskatchewan Junior, the AJHL, the BCHL.
Yeah, you couldn't go WHL.
You can go WHL. If you did one exhibition game in WHL, you couldn't ever go to NCAA. But now it's totally changed. It's wide open. So there's kids now going getting 100 grand a year to pay to play
Yeah.
in the NCAA. So it's pretty interesting how that's all happening. So
Yeah.
that's where the money is. Like you think of Penn State, right? Like all the football programs that have been raking in money for so many years and haven't had to pay their players. Like they must be just sitting on piles of money. Like yeah. And they have beautiful facilities, great training programs, full cafeteria, frat parties, right? So we just went to we're starting getting into graduation parties out here. So my son's grade 12. So I was sitting with a couple dads that have their kids down in NCAA hockey, and they said it's just they're having the time of their lives.
Wow.
So instead of busing, like they're flying to places to play, Arizona, California to play. From like there's ones out in Providence.
Yep.
And they fly. Like it's amazing the money there. It's just totally different. So I don't know how the CHL is gonna, or the WHL. I call it CHL, but that's Canadian Hockey League.
Yeah.
But WHL, we're not sure how the WHL is going to keep up with.
Right. It could affect it, eh?
Yeah, and the guys just leave. Kids are just leaving, and the team gets no compensation for that. The kids just are gone.
Well, and they get and a different education where it's hard to do that at WHL the way it is now.
Yeah,
right. And
it's tough to do. You can do an education when you're WHL, but you can maybe take a couple classes. That's it.
Yeah.
So like we're looking. My son's a finance guy. He's a commerce guy. He's a numbers guy. He's a competitor. So I'm pretty sure he's going to go into finance. So we're just looking at what classes can he take next year online, to keep him in the game of school, of academics. And then what happens now is these kids are getting picked to NCAA. They might not have been in school. So they're 19, 20 years old. They might not have been in school for 2 years. So now they actually have to be, as of January, they have to have 3 classes going in order to qualify to get into NCAA in September. So that's like all of a sudden these kids haven't been in class for 2 years. Now they have to take classes while they're playing hockey. So it's interesting. Yeah. We thought it would just be the 19 or 20-year-olds, but there's actually 17, 18-year-olds now are committing to NCAA.
Wow. So they're just jumping straight. Well, it's like that's been happening in other sports, but just not hockey.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's interesting that I wonder like why it's taken this long, but I'm not surprised it's happened. But at the same time, that's certainly been the case for other sports.
Right. Yeah.
It's interesting.
It's NIL. There's an acronym there. Like they can use their. Tony maybe knows.
Yeah, name, image, and likeness deals. When the NCAA opened up to that, because before collegiate sports here in the States would always restrict, like you couldn't do anything for profit that was based on your sport. And then I guess I don't know how long ago, 4 or 5 years ago, they opened up. So now as athletes, they can sign name, image, and likeness deals. So they can get like Adidas or somebody for a sponsor and get money that way. And then the NCAA also opened up, at least in football, I don't know about hockey so much, but the whole transfer portal thing. So now if you're not playing at one school, you can transfer portal to another. So it's definitely changing it. I'm not involved enough to know if it's bad or good yet. But it's definitely changing it. It's changing.
Isn't there a Manning football player coming up that like this kid's not even drafted yet, and he's making like $15 million in endorsements, and he's not even drafted yet by an NFL team.
Yeah, it's been interesting. I mean, the good side of it is some of these young men and women are staying at their collegiate programs instead of going pro too early because they're making pretty good money anyway. So when they do go pro, they're better athletes, which is, from the sports side of it's good. And the side of me sees too, a lot of them will never make pro. So this might be their best opportunity in college to make, good money off of their sport. Not everybody gets to go pro. So I don't know. I'm still traditional enough to, I graduated from Penn State, with a 3.96 grade point average, summa cum laude, and nobody gave me any free lunch, just because I couldn't play football. But anyway,
there's supposed to be a couple big hockey players coming out to Penn State. One just One just, yeah,
Yeah, Penn State.
one just signed from
They've always had a pretty
yeah.
strong hockey program.
Just
They've
this
all,
week, one
Yeah.
just signed from Tri Cities. He's going to be drafted probably first
Oh, okay.
first round in the NHL, and he's just committed to Penn State.
has Penn State always had hockey there, Tony? I mean, yeah, I would think so.
Yeah, yeah, they've always had a pretty good collegiate program. They're what most people don't. Well, everyone knows Penn State football, but their wrestling program, Dwayne,
Oh yeah,
world class. Like they have Cale Sanderson is their coach, and when he was wrestling collegiately, and then as far as you could go in that, he never lost a match. But he just must be a really, really good leader, because the wrestlers that Penn State puts out are just absolutely phenomenal. Their hockey program's been strong. The football is what gets all the money, right? So that's where But I will say, from my experience, with at least limited experience being a Penn State graduate, a lot of that football money goes back into the school. I mean, a lot of it does. A lot of that money does go back. Now, a lot of it stays in the athletic department, but a lot of it does go back into the school and support other.
I remember when I played football in high school, we would have a Can-Am thing arrangement we had with a small town that was closest to us. Was Malta, Montana, like was closest to Swift-Current. It was a almost 5-hour trek, and we'd alternate. One year we would go there, and then they would come to us, and they would always shellac us. And they were a way smaller school, but they'd been playing since they were like peewees, right? Like grade 2 was part of the reason. And I'll never forget the sign. It was big letters on the gym, and it said, "Don't forget the other half of school, academics." I was like, what?
Yeah.
So it's just a whole different focus, right? It was incredible. And that applied to absolutely any sport. And that was just a little town, never mind, like maybe 5,000 people, not.
We're talking sports here, Dwayne, and
Yeah.
maybe that's where it all comes together for me running a company. It's that tie-in with I've coached hockey, I've coached people,
Right.
right? You always talk about the industrial athlete.
Yeah.
And there you go. You treat people well. Even like a little thing, like I've learned from a couple managers of our hockey when I was coaching, and the manager would send out a little thing on a Sunday night. So here's the plan for the week. Before they had the apps where you could just go in and you could see where all the practices and stuff on the phone. But I still do that to this day. Every Sunday night at 8:00, I send out a plan for the crew for Arborcrest.
Nice.
So everybody knows what's happening for that week. They know Monday morning, so they're not bonking into each other, figuring out where to go. So every Sunday night, I send out a little email just saying, here's who's going on what crew, right? And then we have meetings. So every Tuesday morning, we have a safety meeting, and we're running that. We're talking what happened last week, what incidents, what near misses happened last week, and just what training do we need to, like where's the training program at, like who needs to get trained, right? So maybe that's the tie-in that is my hockey background, and treating people fairly, and just lead and let them know what's happening, right? People don't want to come in blind to a situation.
No.
Right? And now the software is helping so much. Like we're running Jobber.
Yep.
And everything's there, so people can see on their phones a week ahead. They can see pictures of the tree they're going into. Right? So that's just helped so much for people, just so they know what's coming. They can start getting in their head. If they want to look at it Sunday nights, they can get in their head and they can see what's coming up. Yeah. Just like if they had a big hockey game coming up on a Wednesday, they know that other team they're playing. Yep. Same thing for the arborists. They know what tree they're tackling on Monday morning.
Yeah. No, I think that you've nailed it there. And I mean, I'm glad that came to you, because that's, there's obviously something happening. And if you, and it makes perfect sense that you would teach, that you would run your business like the way you coach.
Right.
Right. And good coaches, I don't know that people, especially people that haven't played team sport particularly, but like a good coach, the leadership of a coach, which is a blending of a lot of things. And it's often not just one person. It's a couple, 3 coaches that have they click, and they somehow they they get you to believe, to have faith, and to be willing to do what they want. Like, I don't know how to describe it. When
Yeah,
and when you're on those teams, like, well, I if I dare say, like, it seems to be like what's happening with the Oilers. I'm surprised they've gone as far as they have right now, because they were riddled with injuries, but there's something happening there that's energetic. It's happening with those guys, is what it's, because they're on a roll.
yeah,
And that whole thing of momentum, like, has something to do with it. I mean, you probably could describe it better than me. What do you think?
yeah. So like, so if you're using the Oilers for example, they got a great coaching staff, right? They got Paul Coffey, Hall of Famer, in there coaching their D-men. Like that's what you want. So for us, for when we send out a team, I'm not going to send out two rookies, to go take down a tree. Like you're gonna have your veteran working with the rookies, and the rookies are always mentoring.
Yeah,
Just like a defenseman, my son was a young defenseman. He played with a couple kids that were drafted in the NHL, so he's mentoring as they go along, and that's the same thing with arborists. They should be mentoring with somebody as they go along, right? So
yeah,
there's your tie-in with hockey,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
right? And then and the Oilers, they got McDavid, so they could just double shift him, and he's the best in the world.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that's and Stu Skinner, who former Lethbridge Hurricane. Stu Skinner has been playing really well, and that helps a lot. Like having a goalie back there. I was a goalie too, so I always watch the goalies.
Right, 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 right. Crazy goalies.
Yeah,
But leadership of a coach is, and it's funny. Um, the reason I decided I wanted to be a teacher, I never had made the connection to coaching. And I did a lot of coaching out of university, and I coached high school wrestling, and I resurrected wrestling program here in Olds when we moved here, and I'd already started teaching, but I didn't realize that that was the passion was, you could call it. I could have probably just as easily, if I could have made a living coaching, I might have chose to do that. But there
well,
was,
you're our coach.
that's
You
right.
you
Yeah,
you, you, you did. You took
yeah,
that,
yeah,
and you took that to Arboriculture Canada, well, Arbor Master first, and then Arb Canada, and that's coaching
yeah,
right there.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. No, it really was.
yeah.
Yeah,
Public speaking. Yeah.
yeah. It's an interesting thing, uh, and that, yeah. What do you think, Tony? I mean, you talk a lot about leadership, Tony. I mean, does leadership and coaching, like, they're closely related, right? And teaching.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say more, especially in arboriculture, I think it relates more to sports because arboriculture as a profession is so hands-on, right? Like you do literally coach somebody in a physical skill if you teach them how to climb or how to run a chainsaw. No different than you're teaching them to, you know, manipulate a hockey stick and throw a puck, with a slap shot, or how to skate, or so there's that. Um, I find too that I love the coaching and analogy because I've learned that in the last, we talked a little bit about the changing of the workforce. The other thing that I've noticed is not only have their values and what they find valuable changed, but it's like oftentimes I'll be teaching somebody, like a new employee, younger person, basic chainsaw skills. They started with us, and yeah, I'm teaching them how to run a chainsaw and how to do risk and risk assessment at work. But these are lessons they never really got anywhere else. Like I'm teaching them how to make good life decisions too, to an extent. Um, and I think a lot of people get frustrated with this younger workforce because they don't understand that they're mentoring them in life as well as they are mentoring them as employees. Um, and when I started adopting that attitude, it became a little bit uh, easier for me to kind of say, yeah, it's like, now I get it, right? Like, yeah, I'm teaching them how to run chainsaw. I'm teaching how to climb a tree, but I'm also teaching them how to like deal with risk and how to make good decisions. And these are lessons that I hope they'll apply at work, or they won't be working here for very long. But I hope those are also lessons they're going to apply when they go out Monday night with the boys, right? Or Friday night with the boys, right? They're going to, well, maybe, and from my experience, some of the younger people that we've brought on, they didn't have that beforehand. Nobody ever really, they were, not that they didn't have parents, but they weren't taught the same lessons I think that I was taught by my father and and his mentors. And so I don't know. I see it much more as Yes, I'm teaching them arboricultural skills, but in many respects, I'm also kind of teaching them life skills too, which is fine, you know.
Sometimes we're teaching them what the difference between a flathead and a Phillips screwdriver is. Like they're really like a lot of them don't have those skills at all. I think it's just been too much time on their phones, right?
Hmm.
There's so much time on their phones. They get so comfortable. They're just like when I was a kid, I was out fixing a lawnmower, or I was fixing at something, or I was, it's just out doing things and learning and picking up stuff. But I think people are just sedentary now. They're just on their phones.
I heard a term, someone called them screenagers, right?
Exactly. It's a
And
good
I
one.
mean, and the phone has definitely had an impact. And I agree. Like I heard, it was one of our clients, like they had summer students and they never put, they'd seen a lawnmower, but they didn't know where to put gas in it, how to start it, how it worked. And they were like, didn't you guys mow grass? Like you didn't mow the grass at your mom's house? No, we had someone do that. So they had never literally used a lawnmower, which seems, I would consider that a basic skill, but they said you can't consider things like that basic anymore. Right down to screwdrivers, where to put the gas, how to open the gas cap. Like you think, like, come on, but no. So
So I do a lot of teaching. I've had teachers in my family forever, like I mentioned before. So I do some teaching. It's in the Saskatoon Skills and Trades. So they have a landscape cohort
ah,
in the spring, and they're bringing 10 or 12 people. And so last year I was teaching it and teaching people how to mow. And actually, it was electric. I brought my electric mower, so they didn't have to worry about gas. But guess what? They're mowing in an S pattern. Like we had a big park right beside the facility, and these guys, and gals came out, and they're just like they're going like, no, when you're mowing, mow in a straight line. Like this is the basics. You had to tell them. Like don't know, but you're not. This isn't weaving around and making S turns. Like come on. I guess that's one example of yeah. There's a few that were newcomers to Canada, so that's one thing. But there was a couple that weren't, and it just the basics. Sometimes the basics just haven't been taught.
yeah. Well, and I also can think back when I think back on people that had influence in my life. Some of the most profound ones, still to this day, I think back, are teachers that were coaches. There was a couple wrestling coaches, football coaches, and I mean, I'm sure the same would apply with hockey coaches, right? Like, I didn't play organized hockey as much, so I didn't. I don't think we had a coach when we played it at Old.
No, no, just somebody to coordinate the beer.
Yeah, yeah, but
That's the coach.
like there's coaches have some of the greatest influences. Really, they do.
Was Ken Turner a wrestling, or was he just horticulture?
No, his son wrestled, but
Oh, okay.
he was just in charge of grounds. So all the wrestlers worked on grounds. That's how I ended up working there because he if you're on the wrestling team, he just said, yeah, you're kind of hired. We didn't. He learned that wrestlers were generally good workers, right? They were.
Yeah,
So he didn't. It was kind of just a given. If we were on the wrestling team, we all got jobs on grounds.
yeah,
That was the only credential I had when I got that job, right?
yeah.
But his son is now coach of SFU swim team.
Okay.
And Brock
Yeah.
always did swim, but he's the coach of their swim team. I don't know that he does. He's not involved wrestling anymore, but it's an interesting thing that can stay with you. And I never thought of it, Robin, before you mentioned it, that your business success, because there's obviously something there. I've seen you do it more than once, and not a lot of people do that. Like you've started from nothing twice, and I know people like we had Nora on the show. Like you helped her achieve a dream of hers, like inadvertently. I don't know that wasn't your intention necessarily, but you gave her space. You were flexible. Like she was just kind of wanting to feel it out, and now look at her now, right? And it's like that wouldn't happen with just any employer.
Yeah, Nora's living the dream that she always wanted to live. Like gardening was her passion, and we just took that and ran with it. And I didn't think she'd be a climber. She was older than me by far
I know.
when she was working for me.
Yeah.
but she got into it and into it hard, and down living the dream down in the States. I hopefully can meet up with her one of these days. And
Well, you can listen to her on the show. She just starts her. She'll air here in a week or so. But you know what I'm saying is there is not a lot of companies where someone like her, for example, at the age of her life and everything else, when she chose to try this, would have given her that opportunity, even let alone encouraged it to go to where it's gone. Like you could have made or broke that just by being, you know, I don't know if you know what I mean. Like,
well, it's women in the industry, right? I've always supported women in the industry. We've always had, I don't want to say a quarter, just for sure, like with a quarter of our employee force has been women in the industry, right? And so we have a new employee. She just started last year, and she's right gung ho to climb. So we're actually supporting her to go to the Women in Trees and Olds
yeah,
in June here coming up, and that there's a big cost to that, right?
yeah,
But I can see it in her. I can see that she really enjoys it. So we're sending somebody there. We could have sent another lady, but she hurt her shoulder. But yeah, like I've always supported women in the tree work. Some of the best employees to this day, and that I have now are women.
So where did that like how did you evolve into that? Like because you were doing that before it was like cool sort of thing, right?
Yeah, I guess yeah.
Do you know
Yeah.
where that comes from for you, or is it just
I think from my parents, just being fair to people. Maybe that's it. Just being accommodating to people. Some of the greatest employees we've had, like Nora, have been women, right? And um,
yeah,
yeah, so I was trying to be accommodating and flexible, and yeah. So we have one. She's our landscape designer right now. She's Red Seal. She worked for Gerard for 4 years. Jasmine Tyson. She's actually related to me. Like our
yeah.
grandparents or cousins or something like that. So she's doing great. She's running our landscape division, doing all our designing, which I don't have time to do. So it's a good mix. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, and I think you've also kept a balance. It sounds like of work and play even throughout the business. You know, like a lot of people would not shut down necessarily in August, even or when if you're capable of working, you should be working, sort of thing. And you talked about trying to get to the cabin that was 8 hours away, but you still made time for it and moved your business to be closer to where you could do that more easily. Like that's you have an awareness or a
yeah. You
dedication
have
that
to have
that's
your time
important
off.
as
So
well.
we don't work long weekends. Like if we ever get a plow wind or a tornado hits on a Friday before a long weekend, we're not going to be there to help. I don't think, because we always need our long weekends off, and that's just that good reset. Um, so then it goes back to the Saturdays. If you're coming in on a Saturday once a month, and there's a long weekend, you're only talking about 3 Saturdays. You're only talking about one Saturday a month. Like it's just people. Yeah, we're accommodating to all sorts of different, and you got to be that way now, right? And
Huh.
maybe I'm too nice sometimes
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Some of my crew have told me that. Like, I'll just carry somebody a little too long, but
Really?
and people that have had dependencies. That I'm trying to think of the right word. Just you can see that they're having some trouble in life, addictions, and they're just like, how long are we going to
Addictions
carry these
potentially,
people
or
along for? But to the point where it's unsafe, right? And that's people have to be fit for duty. They have to, you have to make sure that the person next to you is fit for duty in that morning, right? So we've done some fit for duty training, and you can only be accommodating to a certain point.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, of course but I find you know I have a hard time calling the truth as it's plainly visible sometimes because I don't want to hurt someone's feelings or offend them, and it's not necessarily
Yeah,
the greatest trait to have.
yeah,
And in fact, I admire people that are able to just call it what it is, and have the strength to do that. And and maybe I'll get better at that as my own self-esteem improves. I think to me it's tied to my own self-worth or self-esteem, but somehow in some way. But or I just don't like to. I don't know. I find it difficult that, like you say, I could say I'd be guilty of you know giving someone the benefit of doubt too many times, maybe one time too many or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, yeah. Tony, do you? How do you? I've never had to see you function in that realm.
Yeah, I used to have that fault more, just because I didn't want to offend anybody or upset anybody. I've learned, and maybe the hard way, that sitting down and having that difficult conversation is the best for the person. You're actually giving them a gift. If you can, some of the hardest conversations I've ever had is with people that really want to be climbers, but they're not ever going to be climbers. And just to say, you might want to take a different path here, because if you're going the way you're going now, it's not going to end well. Um, and while it's a tough conversation to have, it's some of the nice, and then it's a big gift you can give them. And then the other thing is, when you've had people that have personal issues outside of work, it's like, you know, most of the time sitting down having that conversation helps them, because somebody needed to draw a line in the sand, or they were just going to keep going down the same path. And while it wasn't comfortable drawing that line in the sand, I've come to realize that it's probably the best thing I can do for them, right? Not only from a business standpoint and helping out my own business, right? Because I can't have unsafe people, or people that are not, they're there but physically but not mentally. But then also for them too, because I've had people like that come back a year or two later and say, thank you for, because when you told me that, I made that change, or it prompted this, that prompted that, that prompted this. Um, so having had that experience a couple times, I now realize it for the gift it is. I mean, I still feel terrible when I do it sometimes, but um, that's what that's was my job, right? That's part of being a
So
leader.
another thing we do is like we meet twice a year, one on one, with the staff. So once in
Hmm.
July, kind of before that week off in August, and then once in October. So I sit down with, I usually go to Tim's or some quieter restaurant or something. Just what's going on? How's your life? How's things going? What's your trajectory here? Where do you want to be? What do you need to do for training?
Yeah.
And that's a big part of it too. Like, just in the rush of the work week, like say this Monday morning, whatever it was, like just busy, everybody's getting out the door. You don't have time to really have a conversation. So what I've always done is, well, I don't know if I've always done it. Probably really started doing it about 10 years ago. Is just sitting down with people and talking one on one, away from the work. Have a drink. Have a, not a just have a coke. Have a water. Have a coffee. If it's October, then maybe having a coffee, warming up. But just what's on your mind.
Well, there's something about going to like some kind of neutral territory, right? Like obviously you can't not make yourself the boss, but meeting in your office or meeting in your place of power, right? It can also change that atmosphere. You just go someplace neutral, right? And just talk. And that it and why not? Of course, you need to know what's and it shows that whole thing of people don't care what you know until they know that you care, right? It shows that you're interested, involved, and you are. Otherwise, you wouldn't make the time for it, right? There's a lot that comes. There's a lot to be said for taking action on things, and actually taking time to do it. Like just that
Sometimes you have
means
to.
something. It says
Some
something.
you tell somebody's going through something, you have to bump that up, that schedule. But generally, that's our schedules, July and October. But
Yeah,
yeah, sometimes people are having some
yeah,
trouble, and you gotta do that Tim Hortons meeting a little sooner. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah. A
exactly. Yeah.
little extra chatty. Yeah, it's I think something I've learned too recently is trying to remember where everybody's at. You know, like it isn't all
Mhm.
about me sort of thing. But like really though, like what age they are they newly married, are they recently broke up, are they not with anyone, are they 25, are they 18, are they 45, like I'm in a different stage of life. Not everyone is interested in the same thing or does the same things, and neither should they be, but to give space for that to really understand where they're at and meet them where they're at and think about that part of it, right? Like trying to buy a house, are they wanting, like there's a lot going on these days.
I'm
It's
feeling that I
different than
have
it
to
was
write
when
things
we were
down more
younger.
now. So when I'm meeting with somebody, I have to jot notes down because
Really?
then I can look back. Because if you're meeting with 15 people over the course of a week, where's everybody going with it? So I write it down. But then there's also a contract in the beginning of March. Like we always start our contracts in the spring around here because it's winter and we're doing snow until March. So we have those March kind of pre-contract meetings. So we'll have, actually, that's a third meeting that we do with people one-on-one because the contracts are coming up. But now what I'm doing is I'm giving $1 an hour if somebody goes to the climbing competition. Like how much are they going to learn? They're going to learn so much by being at the climbing competition, right? So that's going to help the company out,
Yeah.
right? So just little things like that, like just
Yeah.
you're going to get $1 an hour. So it's a little incentive, a little carrot, and I learned so much. I climbed 3 times in different competitions, and you always learn something every time you go there. Even as as a judge, volunteer, climber, everything. Like I was a chairperson for a couple of years, just running the whole show, and the committee member here in Saskatoon. Right, Jeff McLeod is around here, and
Yeah.
yeah, uh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and
August,
it's coming again.
yeah,
You guys I'll be there. Yeah. Yeah. So it's happening. The Prairie Chapter Tree Climbing
23rd,
Championships in
24th.
August. What date is it? The 23rd and 24th. You want to see some prairie arborists? Check it
But now
out.
we're getting
Saskatoon.
like Andrew Hordyke's son came out to Calgary last year. Bailey,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's great. Like
Yeah.
people bringing
Yeah.
new technology, new thoughts in, and new blood and new energy. Right, it was great seeing him last year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. And DJ will probably come out again.
yeah.
Yep. Well, that's so what do you think? I don't know. Have you are you I
I'm a
think you are
Canadian
an Oilers
hockey
fan.
fan. Like I want some Canadian
Okay.
team to win the cup. It's been since '93, right? So I grew up a Leafs fan.
Yeah.
I grew up an Oilers fan. I grew up in North Balford, 3 channels. We had ITV out of Edmonton. Wayne Gretzky would go in on a Wednesday and beat Minnesota 14-2. So I was an Oilers fan. I actually had some rookie cards in a cabin at Turtle Lake that got burned. Like we had some expensive hockey cards
Oh.
that I'm kicking myself now that we should have put those in locked storage. We had a cabin burn down in 2001 at Turtle Lake, and yeah, I remember had all these Oilers cards and I was right into it. I loved it. But I'm a Canadian hockey fan. I just wanted a Canadian team to win.
And even if it doesn't, a lot
Yeah,
of
they always
Canadian
look at that. That's
players
the
will win.
default. That's the default. Yeah, how many Canadian players are on the American
Yeah.
team?
Well,
Yeah,
it's a do-over from last year, right? So here we are. There'll be some. I don't know how many games have been played already by the time this airs, but we're close enough to it that it won't be. It'll even be somewhat timely because when do they?
well, they're
Because
done.
Florida's
They're all
not
done.
done
They're
yet, right?
start on this
Oilers are
Wednesday
waiting
coming
for
up. So game on. Yeah,
game 1.
yeah.
So you're obviously, I know who you're cheering for, and I think they actually have because
Yes,
didn't it go
imagine
to 7
losing
games last year
Game
between
7
them?
of the Stanley Cup Finals. Like you need psychological help after that. Like to go through the grind of 3 months of hockey and beating on each other, and the Oilers getting to Game 7 and losing.
Yeah.
Like we've been in hockey forever, and our sons won and lost, and this is nothing. That's the epitome of hockey. Like for those guys to lose in Game 7, that just must have been traumatizing. Like.
Well, and for the other team too,
There's
if it
always going to be
happened,
one
I
team
mean
that's
that's
happy.
the thing of it, right?
Right? Every other team in the league is not going to be happy with the result.
Yeah.
Medicine Hat Tigers just won last night. They won the Memorial Cup. Oh no, London Knights won the Memorial Cup. against Medicine Hat. So we were watching that because my son knows a
Ah,
lot of the players and plays against Medicine Hat. And Medicine Hat beat them. Medicine Hat beat
oh,
them in
the
the
hat.
Eastern
They made
Conference
it to the.
Final. So and somebody said that the other day. It's like there's only going to be one team that's happy at the end of the season.
Well, good for the Tigers.
It's
That's a long way to go. It's
yeah,
been a
they
while
made
since they
it
made
and
it
they
that
did
far,
really
hasn't
well.
it?
They swept the Memorial Cup, but then they got to the final game against London Knights and they lose. So London won last night handily.
Oh,
So yeah, yeah.
well, good for London, I guess. Yeah. Well, I know you're running a business, Robin, and you were. How's your blood pressure feel
It's
now? You said
better
you're a
talking to
little
you. It's
stressed.
better.
You
Bring my
needed
blood
help.
pressure down a bit on a Monday morning. I was going to ask you how your trip to,
Yeah.
or you did the Tree Canada trip. Yeah. How's that?
Yeah. Good. I'm excited to be a new board member for Tree Canada. It's going to be a very interesting learning experience. One of the reasons I was interested in joining it was the diversity of people that are on the board. Because I've been involved with boards. I volunteered for years. I volunteer. In a way, Tree Actions is a philanthropic endeavor, and but it I never have worked on a board with people, professionals from such a diverse background. You know, like the largest BMO operation or division in Toronto, the president of BMO Toronto is on the board. Um, two ex MPs, as I mentioned. You know it's just interesting listening. And in a board meeting with them, how they speak and interact. A senior executive from L'Oreal, which is just a straight, it's just not tree related, but they bring a different viewpoint. And the board did that on purpose as they were growing to diversify their guidance, right? Their who's coaching them, and they wanted coaches from different backgrounds. And then what did they realize is they had lost. They didn't have any tree people hardly left on the board. It was all senior executives from large accounting firms to politicians to lawyers to bankers, big company executives. So there's myself and another arborist from Manitoba, Martha Barwinski.
Oh, good.
We're the
Yeah,
two new
Martha
kind
be
of
good in there.
arbs
Yeah.
on the board. So they want, and it was funny because they were so excited because we do the board meeting does a tree plant. They plant trees every board meeting. It's something that they've committed to doing. And they had one of their staff come to teach the planting, and they're like, he's looking at me, he knows us, right? And he's like, this is kind of weird. I've never had, like, in the past, I literally had to teach people how to do this, but you guys could easily teach them how to do this. But it was, and they're like, wow. So, and they could tell, these other board members could tell that he was looking at us like, Dwayne, I realized you could actually probably just do this. Like, and he was nervous, kind of. We could
Yeah.
teaching in front of me. I'm like, just do your thing. And they're like, wow, he actually, like, you must really actually know this stuff, right? And so I'm excited to learn from them. I think they're probably excited. It's just a really cool, a great chairman of the board. And yeah, it's interesting. We're talking about coaches and teams because I feel like I've just joined a really cool team of really neat people, and I'm
So what's
looking
the
forward
board
to
look
it.
like? It's
So
probably a
we'll
dozen on
see how it
there, or
goes. But
yeah, 10 or
yeah. And then one thing I could learn a couple things, but one thing they mentioned is they run everything off committee and 3 members
hmm.
only because otherwise it just gets bogged down. So the board reviews all, and I've been assigned to a committee, but committees are never more than 3, and that's where all the heavy lifting's done, and then they bring their recommendations and the board looks at it. But it's more or less been hashed through because they said if you take more than that, you tend to get bogged down in procedure and death by committee
Yeah.
more than 3, which I found
I'm
interesting.
out in the trenches there, so I'm the new
But it
forest specialist for Saskatchewan. Yeah, taking over for Kelvin Kelly. So I
yes,
got my little hair that Kelvin always tells me, get wear your
yeah, yeah,
pin,
yeah,
wear your pin. So now we're
yeah.
just kind
We
of
mentioned
coordinating
at the
all those
meeting. Yeah,
planting
yeah,
jobs
that's right.
and around Saskatchewan, and actually going back to Meadow Lake, back where I was born. There's a planting up there this year, so hopefully I get some fishing in when I'm up there. And
Nice.
so taking over Kelvin Kelly, he's retiring. He's got to get out of it. he brought a
Yeah.
forestry degree to the job, where I'm going to bring the ISA arborist
Yeah.
to the job. So we'll see how it all goes. But I'm
Yeah.
learning a lot from him. He's helping me out a lot along the way. So happy to have him as a mentor.
Yeah. Well, its focus, the board's focus is to, and Tree Canada is to have a blending, and it's both like forestry planting and urban planting, right? And obviously the forestry plantings are usually smaller trees and thousands or hundreds of thousands, whereas the the urban settings are fewer trees, larger trees, and different costs associated with it. But there's a mandate for both, right? So they don't want to be. It's not just a reforestation uh, organization.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, I'm
all
looking
trees
forward
to
to it.
all
It's going to be
people.
fun. I've seen Kelvin do his thing over the last years. I'm also involved with a lobby group in town called SOS Trees. They used to be SOS Elms. So they were kind of, yeah. So Linda Moskaluk
Yes, yes,
and Tom Go, they kind of run that program, and
yeah,
like
yeah,
they keep us busy. Like I was on a committee. We redid all the cool trees around Saskatoon. So a tree tour, a booklet, and so we just finished that over the
oh
winter,
yeah,
and that
oh
was
cool,
hot off the presses. So kind of look, it's sort of like I was involved with Heritage Trees of Alberta, back in Alberta when I was there,
yeah,
just
yeah,
before I left Alberta. I was involved with that book. So this, yeah, just been good to be on that group, and so I actually went down to city council. So as part of my growth, I actually talked in front of city council back in February because we finally
yeah,
got
nice,
the elm disposal fees lifted for Saskatoon. Like I remember Andrew Hordyke and Osmond coming from
okay,
Calgary out to Saskatoon, and they were saying Saskatoon charges to dump elm chips, right? And so this has been on for 30 years, right?
yeah,
But now with Dutch elm disease on our doorstep here, the city realized that $130,000 of elm going to the landfill versus possibly being infected elm being left around Saskatoon and infecting other trees. So the city made the right call, and they're now they lifted all the fees for elm at the landfill. So that's a big thing for Saskatoon. Like that's you know uh, those big contracts that come in September and January that we would always have to put an extra charge on because we had to charge for the dumping. So yeah, we're just that SOS Trees has been a really good lobby group. It's been fun to be involved with. So maybe got too much going on. I'm looking forward to that fishing trip.
Well, as long as you're having fun and you're still breathing,
Yeah,
right? Taking time, that's the
yeah.
main thing.
Well, we're kind of empty nesters now, right? So you kind of get to that stage in life where the kids are self-sufficient. So I find it a little bit more time to kind of involve with
Yep,
different
yep,
activities. So the Tree Canada thing's been great, and SOS Trees has been great. So I'll continue.
yeah. And then I'm sure you're going to be roped into some being involved with the
Yeah,
comp this year
I
round.
talked to
You'll
Matt
be
Vinay about that
busy.
already. Yeah, where's the sponsor? Yeah,
Yeah,
you got to
yeah,
get the
yeah.
sponsors
I'm sure he would have talked to you. Yeah.
because so it's that a big part of that. And what I saw from being a committee chair was it's got to be funded. Like it's expensive to run those, right? So we need those local sponsors to step up, and we always get it done. It's yeah, good question. I think they
Which
moved
park
it
is
to
it in?
Kinsman Park by it used to be the Mendel, which now they're called Wonder Hub. It's right down by the river.
Okay.
I think that's where they moved it to.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because
Yeah.
it
Oh
was. Is
no,
that
it's
the
just
one
further
by the
down. It's
beds?
north of the Bez. Along. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But
It's right close to the
the
University
University
Bridge. Yeah.
Bridge. It's still south.
Yeah. North
Yeah,
side of University
but
Bridge.
not on
Come
the north
down
side of it.
westbound to the bridge. It's over there. So we had
Okay.
that location, I think 7 or 8 years ago, and I don't know. They seem to work. They've taken a lot of trees out. They took 60 trees out, but there was mostly spruce that were dead in that park. But there's still a couple nice big trees to run the comp. So yeah, yeah, it'll be fun as long as you're
That'll be
there.
good.
Hopefully that works in your schedule. Yeah, that always helps when Dwayne's there.
yeah.
MC Dwayne.
Last year there was a snafu last year and I couldn't make
Yeah,
it,
it's
but
good.
this
Look
year
forward
I'll
to it.
make it there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Back to
Paris of the
Toontown,
Prairies, City of Bridges,
Paris of the Prairies.
at least.
Yep. What is there, 7?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe more. I was thinking about that in Ottawa last week because there's a there's areas around. There's a lot of like the Rideau and lots of different rivers, not big, but big enough you need crossings and like to get. There's one in particular. There's only 2 bridges, and there was an accident on one, and it was just screwing everything up. And I'm thinking, man, Saskatoon does better than
Yeah,
this.
but we went to Portland for hockey this winter, and like, there's a city of bridges, like, and you're going up 45-degree slope up these bridges, huge monster bridge. Like, that's the city of bridges. I thought, like, our little bridges here do nothing.
Yeah,
I thought it was unbelievable in
there's a lot
Portland.
of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you wouldn't want to put a bridge in Saskatchewan on too hard of a slope because it would turn into a ski jump.
Yeah, exactly. Mm, yeah.
Well, we're about that time where we. I don't know, Tony. Did you pull it already, or we? Okay.
No, you're still recording.
Well, it's been a great conversation, and I think we've got. I like some of the areas we touched on. The coaching stuff, and I thought that was really cool. And I hope some of our guests get some pointers. That I like your. I don't know how many people send out, the Sunday night thing. Here's what's planned. It reminded me when you said that. It reminded me of, I think it was D-Day. It was one of the major World War II invasions. When it was D-Day, it was Dieppe, right? When they went over the barbed wire, and it
Yeah.
was a real brutal time. But one of the things that came out of that, I heard this story from a veteran or from a military person in Canada, Tony, not American, but that the Canadian military told the soldiers the entire plan. Like the plan is to do this, then we go here, then we do this, and we're going to end up here, which was like a week kind of thing. And it was, and it but it was, or maybe even longer, but it was in stages. But the Canadian soldiers knew ultimately where they were supposed to be going, and apparently the other soldiers from the other countries didn't know that. So when they got through like where the Canadians were like, well, we're headed here. Well, how do you guys know we're supposed to go there? Well, that's what we were told. That's where we're going, and they helped. Like they got further along because of it, because it's just something the Canadian military does, and maybe that's just a story, and every military does that. But the other units hadn't been given the plan that far down. They only need to know this far. When they get to there, they'll get their next set of orders, right? And it reminded me when you said that, like knowing what's coming and having an idea if you want to listen and learn about it, that it makes sense. I don't know, Tony, have you ever heard that story about the?
No,
Was
I
that
haven't heard that one.
yeah? So they like
Well, I mean, in my experience, usually you're restricted in case you're captured.
right,
You can't give any
right.
foreshadowing.
Well, that maybe the flaw in that model, because but in that case, it allowed them. They knew they had an idea. They instead of because as the story goes, the other country soldiers when they were through were okay. We got to wait for orders where to go next. And the Canadians like, well, we're going here. This is what the plan is. How do you guys know that? Well, that's what they told us. So then they said, okay, well, fuck it, let's go. Whoops, I swore on the
There was a lot
stand.
of swearing in
Let's
Dieppe
go that
that
way,
day.
right? And
Yeah.
and it and it worked, and it worked, and it helped them move even faster along because they had that. But I guess if they'd have got captured, there's always a drawback.
Well,
There's a
you look at,
pro and a
as
con
Laurie
to every
always said,
situation.
plan your climb, climb your plan.
Everyone.
Right? It's the same thing. So you have to have a plan with your climbing a tree, but it's also nice to have a plan for the week for the crew, so they know what they're going to be doing. And then even look at that even further. What's the plan for the summer? What's and just talking to people and seeing just what's in their head, what's going on. How are you feeling today? How did you sleep last night?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, that's
Yeah.
really important.
Yeah. I have to say that is interesting.
Yeah.
That is I like that. Tony, do you think that's common in tree companies to?
Mm, probably not, and on as regular a basis. I mean, we've done things like that for larger projects, but not on a weekly basis. Have we done it? Oftentimes, like at least with my experience doing scheduling for tree care here in Pennsylvania, is I have a great plan on Monday morning, and by Monday 9 a.m., it's all gone to hell, and it's totally different because you can't come prune my yew hedge. My dog has to poop at 11 o'clock. Like, okay, okay, okay. So yeah, but no, there's definite value in it, and it's probably something I'm going to borrow and try to do a little more. And I know in my own, like on a training course, I'll often
Mm,
do that, Dwayne. Like, okay, starting out the day during the introduction, like this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna spend some time here in the classroom, and then and then kind of lay out the
Yeah.
thing for them. So I think there's a
Yeah.
lot of value.
yeah.
Yeah, same thing here too. Like we always leave Friday open.
Well,
We plan our week, but we don't book Fridays. Like we work Fridays, but it always ends up some comes up. We just had a plow wind yesterday, like gust to 70 km. So we had to change the plan
yeah.
this morning. Maybe that's I had to go look at a couple of emergency jobs. And now I'm getting older now, and I look at these jobs as a liability. Like I really got to look closely and take pictures because what if that green ash breaks? If we deem that green ash to be fine, we're going to do a crown reduction, width reduction to keep this around because we want to. The property manager wants to keep this tree, but maybe that's why I was a little bit high blood pressure this morning because I looked at two trees where they're both 50-50. Like, should we be taking this thing down? But I'm always on the side of saving trees. I always have been. Right? I'm not a
Right.
I'm not a tree remover. Like I think that's probably 10-15% of what we do. And maybe that's why people around here too. Like
Yeah.
we've seen a lot of companies come and go where it's just straight removals. It's so hard on the body unless you're using cranes and
Right.
skid steers and which we don't do a lot of here, but
Yeah.
because the trees are generally smaller. But we are a
Yeah.
tree preservation company, and that's how I've kind of run the business, right? So all that plant health care and pruning, and we'll do hedges. Like you're not going to get worn out doing hedges. I mean, it's still hard work because usually you're doing hedges and it's plus 30. Like it's usually summer when we're doing
Right.
starter hedges, right? But compared to doing a 80-foot poplar removal, you're going to be tired after that day. So I think it's the ergonomics of it too, like just making
Yeah.
sure
Yeah. Yeah.
you don't book like a whole week of removals. Like just have some downtime for the body to recuperate. And maybe that's why we
Yeah. Yeah.
got to keep people around, keep people happy, keep people safe.
Well, that's why they don't have football
Yeah,
tournaments.
yeah,
Right. I mean, literally, you can't play like they have to have at least, was it 7 days minimum? Like if they played 4 games on a
no,
weekend,
no,
man,
no. They
they
need a week.
like
They're banging and crashing. The football player needs a week for sure to recuperate.
yeah, yeah. Well, even hockey tournaments, I imagine, must be brutal. Like, and I heard someone talking about this whole getting back to hockey, like the team that makes like these two teams right now, like how much time till like fall
Yeah,
camp,
that's
or
it.
like they're
That's
gonna
all.
have 2 months off
Yeah, it's crazy.
and they're back at
Yeah,
it.
you got to look.
Yeah. Whereas Calgary, they've been golfing for 2 months already.
Yeah, yeah. It doesn't help Calgary. They always seem to miss the playoffs, but
Or maybe what?
that's just Calgary.
They just missed it. It was St.
Yeah,
Louis. St. Louis this year
yeah.
took us out. Yeah. Oh well, we didn't want to steal the Oilers' thunder.
I'd like to see McDavid win a cup. Hopefully, after this airs, the Oilers have won a cup. McDavid, he deserves it. He's stuck with that team. He's stuck with that team.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, they're due. They're definitely. I mean, and
And
you
the
know,
fans, just the fans are
it
so
makes
rabid.
sense.
Like you see those games, and they're just you go to a Tuesday game in January, and they're just everybody's got a jersey in that place, and it's full, right to capacity. They just so I just for the fans there, I'd really like them to get a win. Get a cup. Yeah,
They got a nice rink too. Nice
yeah.
arena or
And my
barn.
son says that's the nicest rink he's been playing in Rogers Place in Edmonton. That's he said it's just beautiful.
Yeah. Well, it even the
Yeah.
outside. Like I mean, the thing is just it's
Now Calgary
unbelievable.
needs.
It's amazing looking. And well, they are. The Calgary's got the footprint there. It's supposed to. I don't. Yeah,
Yeah.
like I think they're
Well, they
building it
can't just
now.
let Edmonton have a
It's
beautiful one. Now Calgary
it's
has to have
happening,
one.
right? Well, it's been a long time. The dome was built. The Saddle Dome was built in
The
the eighties,
Olympics, '88
87,
Olympics.
85.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, yeah. So it's due.
yeah.
It's due. All right. Well, Tony, you've been immersed in. This has been a Canadian culture-fied tree actions and hockey. I don't think we've had hockey on the agenda before. So we went from we hit religion and hockey in two
It is a religion.
episodes today.
Kind of the same thing, right? I don't know who you're talking to.